Let me tell you something that's going to make you slightly uncomfortable. You have been auditioning your entire life. Every text you carefully reworded, every outfit you second-guessed, every opinion you swallowed in a room full of people whose names you'll forget in 10 years. You've been performing, constantly, for an audience that isn't even watching. And here's the part that really stings the people whose approval you've been chasing. They're too busy auditioning for their audience to notice yours. This is not a motivational speech, this is a dissection. Because the reason you care what people think isn't weakness, it's a software glitch buried so deep in your psychology that most people never find it. Stoicism doesn't just tell you to stop caring, it shows you why you started caring in the first place, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Stay with me, because by the end of this, the specific moment you'll think about is the last time you changed your behavior because of someone else's imagined reaction, and you'll finally understand what that cost you. Number 1. The approval loop. Why your brain is wired against you. Here's what nobody in the self-help space wants to say plainly. Caring what others think is not a character flaw. It's a feature. It was engineered into you. For roughly 99% of human evolutionary history, being rejected from your social group didn't mean awkward silence at a party. It meant death. No tribe, no food, no protection, no survival. Your nervous system learned at a cellular level that social approval equals safety, disapproval equals threat. So when you post something online and compulsively refresh for likes, or when you rehearse a conversation in your head 40 times before having it, your brain isn't being weak. It's running an ancient survival protocol that is catastrophically mismatched to modern life. The Stoics called this the confusion between preferred indifference and true goods. Epictetus, a man who was literally enslaved, identified something that most free people never grasp: the external world reputation, status. How you appear to others is in the category of things that do not belong to you. Not because they don't matter emotionally, but because you cannot ultimately control them, which means building your psychological foundation on them is like building a house on a river. The problem isn't that you want approval. The problem is that you've mistaken approval for evidence of your worth. Those are completely different things, and the moment you collapse that distinction is the moment other people's opinions become load-bearing walls in your identity. Now here's where it gets sharper. Number 2. The social media trap. Performing for ghosts. Imagine you're getting dressed in the morning, and in your head you're not just thinking about the weather or your comfort. You're running a simulation. Who will see me today? What will they think? Does this say the right thing about who I am? You're dressing for an audience, a mental audience, a crowd of composite judgments assembled from your past experiences, your insecurities, and your assumptions about what people value. Here's the disturbing part: that audience isn't real. It's a projection. A phantom committee you've assembled inside your own skull, made up of people who are largely indifferent to your choices. Social media made this 10 times worse. It gave the phantom committee a scoreboard. Every metric, likes, views, follower counts, comment ratios, trains your brain to experience yourself through external data points. You start to feel most real when you're being seen. You feel uncertain about your own experience until it's been validated by someone else's reaction to it. The Stoics had a concept they called hegemonikon, the ruling faculty, the part of you that directs your attention, evaluates your impressions, and decides what to assign meaning to. Marcus Aurelius wrote about guarding this faculty like it was the only thing worth protecting. Not your career, not your reputation, your inner directing capacity. Social media is a direct assault on the hegemonikon. It outsources your inner faculty to an algorithm. You stop asking, what do I actually think about this? And start asking, what will perform well if I say this? You have seen people, maybe you've been this person, who hold back a genuine opinion because they mentally pre-screened it for controversy. You self-censor in real time. You edit your authentic response before it even reaches your mouth. That is not social awareness. That is psychological occupation. Someone else is living in your head, rent-free, and making decisions on your behalf. But the real question is, who put them there? Number 3. The hidden cost. What approval seeking actually takes from you. Most conversations about caring what people think focus on the anxiety it creates, the social paralysis, the people-pleasing. That's real, but it's surface level. Here's the cost that nobody quantifies. Approval seeking is an identity tax. Every time you adjust who you are, your opinions, your style, your ambitions, your values to fit someone else's expectations, you make a small withdrawal from your sense of self. Individually, these withdrawals feel minor, socially strategic, even, but they compound, and over years, you end up with an identity that is essentially a negotiated document, a collection of other people's preferences, stitched together in a shape that vaguely resembles you. The Stoics were obsessed with the concept of autarkia, self-sufficiency, not financial independence, psychological self-sufficiency. The ability to be the primary author of your inner life. Epictetus pushed his students not toward social isolation, but toward what he called inner sovereignty, knowing exactly which room of yourself belongs entirely to you and cannot be colonized by external opinion. Now consider how much of your ambition has been shaped by what looks impressive rather than what actually calls to you. How many opinions do you hold because you genuinely arrived at them versus because they're socially safe in your circle? How many of your life choices were made by you versus made by the version of you that was managing an audience? This is where it gets uncomfortable because most people, if they're honest, can't fully answer that question. The performance has been running so long, they've confused it with their actual personality. And here's what's darker. Still the people you performed for. Most of them never asked for the performance. You volunteered it, which means the prison you're in was built entirely by you, using imaginary materials. So how do you tear it down? Number 4. The Stoic framework. 3 moves towards psychological sovereignty. This isn't about becoming cold, indifferent, or antisocial. Stoicism is not emotional suppression, it's emotional precision. Here are 3 specific, uncommon moves the Stoics used and how they apply with surgical relevance today. Move 1. Audit your judges. Epictetus made his students do something that sounds almost rude. Before accepting someone's judgment of you, positive or negative, evaluate their qualifications to judge. Not in a dismissive way, in a rigorous way. When someone criticizes you, ask, does this person have a demonstrated understanding of what I'm actually trying to do? Do they have experience in the relevant domain? Are they operating from accurate information, or are they projecting from their own unresolved psychology? Most of the time, the answer reveals that the person whose opinion is wrecking your week has no standing to evaluate you. They're not experts, they're not informed, they're reacting from their own fears, their own ego, their own map of the world that has very little to do with you. This isn't arrogance, it's accuracy. A chef doesn't collapse when someone who's never cooked criticizes their technique. They assess the source. You should do the same. Apply this to social media particularly, the anonymous critical voice, the dismissive comment, the passive-aggressive subtweet. These are not verdicts from a qualified panel. They are noise from people whose own inner life is, almost certainly, significantly more chaotic than yours. Audit the judges. Most won't survive the audit. Move 2. Decatastrophize the disapproval. Here's what your nervous system tells you when you imagine being judged negatively. This is dangerous. This is a threat. This will cost you something essential. Here's what's actually true. Almost no social disapproval has the consequences your threat response system assigns it. The Stoics used a practice called premeditation of adversity, but most people apply it to external events. Apply it instead to social failure scenarios. Walk the fear all the way to its conclusion. You say the unpopular thing, people disagree. Some respect you more, some like you less. The ones who like you less weren't really allies. They were conditional affiliates who required your compliance as the price of their approval. Is that a loss? You post the thing that doesn't perform, you get less engagement. Your self-worth, if genuinely internal, remains unchanged. The algorithm punishes authenticity sometimes. That is a problem with the algorithm, not with you. You reveal a genuine opinion in a social setting. Some people go quiet. Maybe one person lights up because they finally heard something real. The quality of one authentic connection exceeds the quantity of 10 managed performances. Run the catastrophe all the way out. You'll find that what you've been protecting yourself from is, in most cases, not catastrophic at all. It's just uncomfortable. And discomfort is not damage. Move 3. Locate your internal referent. This is the most advanced move, and the one with the highest leverage. The reason external opinion has power over you is because you haven't clearly established an internal standard that's strong enough to compete with it. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you haven't decided precisely who you are, what you value, and what you're trying to build, the crowd will decide for you. They will rush in and fill that empty space with their expectations. The Stoics called this living according to logos, reason, or your deepest nature, not the self that wants to be liked. The self that knows, when it's quiet, what it actually believes. Practically, this means getting radically specific about your values. Not vague aspirational words like integrity or success, specific behavioral commitments. What will you refuse to do regardless of social pressure? What will you continue doing even when nobody praises it? What is the version of you that you'd be most ashamed to betray? When you have a concrete internal referent, a real defined standard, other people's opinions become data rather than verdicts. You can consider them, weigh them, integrate what's useful, and discard the rest. Without that internal referent, every opinion hits you like a judgment from the highest court, because without your own standard, it is the highest court. Build the internal referent. Everything else follows from this. Here's the final thought, and it's a sharp one. The people who have genuinely stopped caring what others think, not the ones who perform not caring, which is just approval seeking with a cooler costume. They're not more alone, they're more present because they're actually showing up. They're not running two parallel tracks in their head, what they're experiencing and how they're going to narrate it later. They're just here, in the conversation, in the room, in their own life. That's what Stoic freedom actually looks like. Not detachment, not coldness, not isolation. It looks like someone who is so grounded in their own inner life that they can be fully generous with the outer one because they're not spending half their mental bandwidth managing their image. The approval you've been chasing was never going to give you what you were looking for, because what you're actually looking for isn't their approval. It's yours, and that nobody can give you. You have to build it.